Alright, we're going to do a somewhat full review of Kaldheim. Not really a full review, because a lot of the cards are just for draft, right? But we're looking for the top tier cards. Top tier. So we're gonna have to be very strict with this. I don't want a list of like 30 cards. I want 10, you know? Full strict. I want the cards that are gonna be in the tier 1 decks, you know? Maybe the odd card that will be like one of the best cards in a tier 2 deck, for example. That as well. But I want about 10 cards in the top tier card list. For example, Alrund, God of the Cosmos. Meh, it's okay. It's not in the list. It ain't in the list. Although, to be fair, it might end up being. Potential. You abandoned us without warning. Oh, that's just not true, is it? That is just not true. Posted on Twitter, didn't I? Alrund's Epiphany. Is this card going under the radar a little bit? 2/1/1 bird creature tokens take an extra turn. When is taking an extra turn not really good?
Hope you had a nice break.
Isn't every card that says take an extra turn normally pretty decent? Or at least the ones that don't say you'll lose next turn or whatever. I mean, 7 mana is a lot, right? But seven mana is a lot. Sorcery speed is pretty lame. Let me just be a little more specific here. Aiming for top 10. I cannot promise that there's only going to be 10 cards on this list, but we're going to give it a go. We're looking for only seriously good cards. Alrund's Epiphany. I'm sure that one of my opponents at some point in Kaldheim will cast this card and beat me with it, but most of my opponents are not going to be doing that, are they? Battle Mammoth. Battle Mammoth is a good card, but is it a good Gargaroth or is it a shit Gargaroth? That's really all that matters, isn't it?
As a chav, or is it Ned's in Scotland?
I think it's a shit Gargaroth, right? 4 mana? What do you mean 4 mana? I mean... Foretell him, yeah, but... Foretell's kind of trash, innit? Good in an Obosh deck. That's kind of true. So you have to play what? Gruul Obosh, or Golgari Obosh, or Jund Obosh. Is that a thing? So what can you not play if you're playing like an Obosh version of those decks? That's what's important, right? Who cares what you can play? What can you not play? Can't play Cleave. You can play Bone Daddy, Lovestruck Beast. You can play Henge. You can play Henge, man. Henge is 9, right? 9 is an odd number, mate. Why not play Gargaroth in that deck instead? Well, I think the point is because Obosh has no turn 2 play or turn 4 play, right? So you can foretell this on 2 and then flip it on the turns that you... So that means that on turn 2 you have basically Stomp or foretell your Mammoth. That's another like 4 plays for your deck, man. It's not bad. Double the plays. Or if you're playing Teamer, you have Brazen Borderers as well. But I'm pretty sure Teamer sucks. But I do think, in general, this card is worse than Gargaroth in basically every deck that's not Obosh. But the Obosh idea is cool. I thought you were on vacation? Ah, man, this is pre-recorded, mate. Do you really have to read the entire card every time you see it? Do you have the memory span of a goldfish? Oh, I mean, we're on our 3rd card, and so far I've read 0 of the cards. That's not good ratio for your statement, mate.
Pog.
Alright, so we're 3 cards in. We have no cards in the top tier cards. That's a good start. That's what you want, really. If I end up with more than 10 cards in the top tier cards, then that means that I've added some cards that don't belong there, for sure. When Burning Rune Demon... Okay. That one sucks, right? Search your library for 2 cards if you review. Put 1 into hand and 1 into graveyard. I don't even think that's, like, abusable. So you play this dumbass on 6, and then on 7 you use the cards that you've fetched to win. So how do you win? Can you win? What combo of 1 card in hand and 1 card in graveyard can win the game on turn 7? Escape cards? I mean, that doesn't do anything, right? That's just a good value play, which is irrelevant.
Great moments.
Alright, opponent chooses the card that you keep. Okay, so it has to be a 2 card combo to win where both of them can happily go to the graveyard. Well, that's even harder. I mean, only one of them is going to go to the graveyard, but both of them have to be able to go to the graveyard, right? Or else your opponent's gonna fuck you. I mean, there's not. I don't think there's anything in standard, right? Or even historic. So fuck that. Eradicator Valkyrie. That's just a shitty creature. Isika, God of the Tree. My evaluation of this card is 100% chance to play against this in the streamer event and 0% chance to play against this on the ladder. Goldspan Dragon. This one actually might be good. This is like... What was that 5 mana 4/4 haster called? It was also a dragon. Had Riot. Because it's kind of like that card, but
Welcome back
with ramp,
Daddy.
right? Ramp's
I
pretty
missed
good.
you. You've been gone for 4 years, Pico.
Hellkite, yeah. Glorybringer? Well, Glorybringer is a little better than this, I think. And Glorybringer is really not that good, is it? So maybe this card sucks. The Dragon's Gas? I don't know, like what deck do you play it in, man? Like, Temur Ramp, for example, would be an interesting deck for it, but that has a better option with the other guy, right, that deals damage. But maybe he's just good, man. Maybe he just, like... Maybe he doesn't even need to be in a ramp deck. But you need a lot... the deck needs to have a lot of card draw, though, whatever it is. Because you need to be able to spend 8 mana on turn 6, right? Sometimes 10. So you need either expensive cards or a lot of card draw. Easy Eugene. Well, the problem with playing this in a deck with... Yeah, this card ramps to Eugene, yeah, but... If you're playing some, like, wonky-ass mono-red ramp to Eugene deck, this dragon will not even be able to attack half the time, right? If you're playing that type of dumbass deck, you've got to block with it against a lot of decks, so... Like you spend your whole turn 5 casting this and attacking so that you can ramp to Eugene the next turn. Like you're gonna die from attacking with this dragon more often than that ramp to Eugene's gonna win you the game. So then it's just like utterly trash, isn't it?
Cold in Ireland today.
Because your whole turn 5 is literally doing nothing. The 4 damage that you're dealing is going to be irrelevant, and you're just opening up your opponent to not only swing out with their entire board because you've got no blockers, but you also... They get a full turn to add to that board, right? They get a 5 or 6 mana turn. So it's not a ramp to Eugene card. But it is good, so what is it doing? What is it doing instead? Surely it's the top end of a red-based creature deck. So mono-red, grow, something like that. You have this boy and Cleave, right? Top end, easy.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the break.
Use it with Corvold.
Welcome back, Mr. Streamer Smile.
I mean, you can't play this and Corvold though. It's 5 drops, isn't it? I mean, maybe you can play 3 Corvold, 1 of this, 2 if you're an Ultra Greed Lord. Dragon sucks. Nah, I think Dragon's good. The Dragon's definitely good, but where do we use him? I mean, honestly, you could just play him in mono red, man. The only issue with mono red is it doesn't draw very fast, right? With no light up the stage and stuff, so it might just be Gruul, man. But then the issue with Gruul is that Gruul is such a tight deck, and because of Pepega Eldraine, there's no slots in the deck to try anything, right? Because you've got those stupid two-faced land cards that make you play 28 lands, so you've got 32 playable cards. 16 of your cards are just instantly adventure cards, 6 of them are instantly cleave and henge. So then, like, the Gruul deck just builds itself, right? You don't even get to fucking play any cards in it. It's just an auto build pile. Green Legend makes Kinnan tap for mana. Yeah, we were saying Kinnan is pretty much the only abusable mana source in Standard, right? Or like truly abusable one. There's quite a lot that make like 1 mana pretty efficiently, like Burgay and what else have you got? Whatever, but Kinnan is Bustle. It's like a 5-color Kinnan deck, or maybe just... That sounds terrible though. I guess you can just ignore this backside of it. But isn't this card just kind of shit though? But I guess Kinnan into this, then you can tap Kinnan for... What does the text on Kinnan even say? So if you play Kinnan into this, can you only make 2 mana of 1 color? Or can you make like 1 of 2 colors? What is Kinnan? Whenever you tap an online permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced. So yeah, so you get two of any 1 color, huh? I mean, that is a 5 mana turn 3. That wins games. Somehow. Don't know how though. But Kinnan is one of the last remaining breakable cards, you know? Like 90+% of playable Magic cards in 2021 are just like dumb, undercosted, value city engines, you know? Like they're just undercosted in some way. But Kinnan at least is a breakable card. I don't know how to break it though. Because like the main issue for like a Kinnan Esika deck would be there's no way to win, right? How do you win a game of Standard with infinite mana? There's no expansion explosion, there's that geyser, I guess. Draw your deck? Yeah, but drawing your deck is irrelevant if there's not a way in the deck to win, right? drawing your deck is the final piece of the puzzle. The Nexus. Do we have Tameo? Nah, we don't have Tameo, huh? That is an idea, though. We will look at that later. Alright, back to the dragon. Stop getting distracted, chat. A little bit of fucking focus. So, Gruul with Goldspan Dragon. Sounds like a worse version of what Gruul is currently. I mean, what do you cut from Gruul to add Goldspan Dragon? Because that's your two options, right? Your two options for playing this card are either add it to Gruul, or make a mono red deck with it that can draw enough cards to use the mana. I don't think you can add it to Gruul. So how do you draw cards in mono red? So instead of like your curve going whatever, Anax, Cleave or Torbran. Now it's Anax, Cleave or Torbran. Dragon casts some more stuff. So you're gonna have to draw a lot of cards. Black or blue for the dragon? Blue maybe, not black I don't think. Like, there's no space in Rakdos for this, there's no space in Jund for this.
CROKEYZ, hope you had a nice vacation these days.
You're not going to play a Grixis deck with this dragon.
Being over to streams, our videos are helping me a lot to get my shit going.
What's the other colours?
Cheers from Spain, dude. Much love.
Black, red, and white. Mardu. You're not going to play Mardu. The problem is you're only looking at tier 1 decks. Isn't it supposed to be look at lower tier decks, which Kaldheim would improve to make tier 1? I'm not only looking at tier 1 decks, man. You think I'm only looking at tier 1 decks. I'm not though. This is because your barrier for good is lower than mine, huh? You take a tier 2 or tier 3 deck, mono green aggro, and you think adding the dragon makes it tier 1. It's not the case, mate. The decks posted on Twitter seem pretty gas. Well, that's it, like most of them will be bad, right? If you look at tier 1 decks, how many is there in standard? Like 4.
I hope
so
you had an enjoyable break. Smile.
In the average number of tier 1 decks that will be produced by Kaldheim, out of every single player trying every single deck, one of them will be good. There's going to be one deck, most likely. Could be Rakdos, or maybe Rakdos with Korvold. Could be some white creature deck. Could be a Calyx and the saga that kills something and fetches a forest. Could be that. Everything else seems kind of shit so far. If there is going to be one good deck, I suspect it will be one of those three. Probably a white creature deck, man. Not gonna lie. This dragon, guys. Are we adding this dragon to the list? I don't know. It is good though. I don't know where we play it, man. We're not playing it in Gruul. I don't think mono red can draw enough cards to use the mana. I don't know about like an Is It deck. The problem with Is It decks is they can't, it doesn't do anything, right? It can't remove things, man. It can't kill big creatures, it can't remove enchantments, it can't kill planeswalkers. Is It decks just don't do shit. They can draw cards. And they can put good horsemanship threats in play. But that's really all it does. The problem with current year Magic is that every deck has to do everything, you know? Gruul removes everything, draws all the cards, and has an aggressive plan. Rogues is the same. Mono green food is the same. Every deck does everything. If your deck doesn't, like, it's sad, man. But there is a very limited pool of cards that you can play, you know. There are no exceptions. Your deck has to do everything. It has to be able to remove every permanent. It has to be able to draw a shitload of cards. It has to have an aggressive plan. There are no decks that see play in current standard that are an exception to that. So there's certainly not going to be any decks in future standard that are an exception to that. Otherwise you would just play the ones that currently exist, right? It's hard. So I'm going to go, for now, no dragon. Halvar. My problem with this guy is I can only think of one curve where this guy's good. And that is Hallowblade into Maul into this guy. My double striking, flying, indestructible creature sounds pretty cool. What do I do in the rest of the games where I draw this Halvar and I don't have a double striking, indestructible creature? Both sides suck. Well, the creature side can be okay, man. But it's like extremely narrow, right? It's not going to be good, but it can be okay. Your issue is that, as I always say, you have to be able to play the creature on curve, right? So if you're assuming that you have to be able to play this in curve, that means on turn 1, 2, and 3, you need to get a creature into play and a weapon, and equip that weapon onto a creature that it's worth playing a 4-mana 4/4 that can give you a double strike, when there's also a downside where sometimes you're going to draw this card and not have that. That's just too many hoops to jump through in it. Like, creature on 2, Maul on 3 into this is pretty good though. It's pretty good. But there's just not that many creatures on turn 2 that you can equip a Maul to that would make this Halvar worth playing in your deck. I'm pretty sure Hallowblade is literally the only one. But your creature is likely to be removed by turn 4 if it is played turn 1 to 2. Well, yes. So why do you think I said It's not very good unless you use exactly Hallowblade. I have already accounted for that, mate. Nope. Haunting Voyage, I think's way too slow. Kaya. Kaya I will be adding. The first card to be added to my top 10. Kaya, that's not how you spell inexorable. Inexorable. Kaya is gas. Let me tell you one thing that is an absolute certainty. Anyone who thinks that Kaya is bad is a dumbass Gandalf idiot. And they don't understand how that +1 can be good. Because they've never cast a creature in their life. They looked at Kaya and they saw -3 exile target permanent, and all they wanted was +1 draw a card so they could jerk off. They could put like Kaya beside Teferi, and they could do that thing like when you're a kid and you've got your dinos and you put them together and make them fight, but instead they're going to put Kaya and Tef together and make them fuck. And if the card doesn't say +1 draw a card, they just say, nah, it's shit. Dumbasses, man. Kaya is absolutely insane, mate. Insane. -3. Nice. +1. Also nice. Jim Davis said she's just 5 mana Vindicate. What's Vindicate? Vindicate is like 3 mana exile a permanent, isn't it? If my Vintage Cube knowledge is up there with the best of them, which I think it is. I mean, it is exactly 5 mana Vindicate if you ignore the Planeswalker that you get to keep after you've used your Vindicate, you know? It's 5 mana Vindicate plus play this Kaya and have it in 2 loyalty. I mean, obviously you need to play Kaya in a deck with some reasonable creatures, or a reasonable number of creatures, because you don't need a creature in play every time you cast Kaya, but you're going to need a creature in play every time you cast Kaya and can't make a decent use of her -3, which is going to be a chunk of the time. The main awkward thing about Kaya is that you have to be playing an Orzhov based deck, huh? Which doesn't leave that many good colours. Abzan could be okay. Mardu is very unlikely to be good. Another sad thing for Kaya is everyone's just gonna jam her in like Yorion decks, right? But I don't think, first of all, I don't think that's the best use for her, and secondly, 5 mana slot in Yorion decks is just Resident Sleeper in it. You just play 1 sideboard Yorion, 3 main deck Yorion, 4 ECD. Then you've got 7 main deck, 5 drops. You don't have a lot of space to actually play any of your other Magic cards. Also, Yorion is just fucking boring, so. Are you just rating top 10 rares and mythics? No. It says top 10 cards, man. Doesn't say anything about rares or mythics. So what deck do you play this in? Abzan, Esper, Mardu, or Orzhov? She could be gassing like clerics if clerics are good, which I think there's a small chance it is. Could be good in humans. Humans, I think, is probably the white-based creature deck that I have most hype for, and
A.
Chevo? Well, our -3 doesn't trigger Chevo though. No way Orzhov will be good. Why not? Why not? It's got amazing lands. It's got pretty much every playable 1-mana card in standard in those two colours. There's no reason at all why it shouldn't be good. It's got the best, it's got really good removal, yeah, probably the best removal. That doesn't necessarily mean that it will be good, but there's absolutely no reason to suggest that it's impossible for it to be good. But it's got the best 1-drops and the best removals, so it's a good start. Coma, this guy is just way too slow. If there's ever a deck where this card's good, then the meta will just shift till it's not. Doesn't matter. Nico Aris. This guy's kind of weird. You see, this guy is also another creature planeswalker, but in very awkward colours. Very, very awkward colours. Very awkward colours. Blue white. It's not a colour combo that has unplayable creatures. There's plenty of playable creatures. It's just not really a colour combo where you can afford the tempo of bouncing your own creature, man. Like, fully bouncing it back to your hand. That's so sketch. But it does have good creatures. I mean, it's got Apparition. Yorion. It's a great card. It's actually really fucking strong. But it's pretty much the worst 2 colours it could possibly be. And that is important. slower flyers list. Nope. Top tier cards for standard or all formats you play. I mean, if there's a card that will be really good in historic and bad in standard, I'll put that in the list, yeah. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I think Nico is good, but again, the major downfall for Nico is that it's a blue-white card, and blue-white decks they simply cannot afford the tempo of bouncing their own creature. They'll lose, man. And if you're not bouncing your own creature, then the card shouldn't be in your deck. What deck can? Well, you need creatures that cost like 1 or 2 mana, right? Where bouncing them and recasting them is not a big deal. Like with Enter the Battlefield effects, I assume, or Leave the Battlefield effects. But blue-white's creatures that get value from being bounced cost 3 and 5. That's just too much. I mean, bouncing a Stitcher Supplier with this guy seems pretty cool. For example. But we can't do that, can we? Seems like not bad value for a plus effect on your 3-mana Planeswalker. You have Fibblethorpe. No, I certainly don't have Fibblethorpe in my deck. That's for sure. You might.
Mr. Streamer finally back.
I'm gonna not add Nico to the list. Simply because it's blue-white. If it was any other 2 colours, I would consider it. Scam. Orvar the All form. Don't get me wrong, guys. My opponents will be playing this card, and I will also try this card. But when does the next set come out? April? I'm going to say that in the month of April, the number of Nikos that I play against will be 0. But in January and February, probably quite a lot. Orvar the All form. Must be Azorius Flyers, so it can't be Azorius Flyers, right? Azorius Flyers doesn't get any benefit from bouncing the creature. And it needs to, your +1 has to be on cheap Enter the Battlefield or Leave the Battlefield creatures, which is not Flyers. Orvar the All-Form. This guy sucks, or he's a combo card. I mean, bad cards are in combo decks all the time, it doesn't matter. Quake Bringer. This guy sucks. Sag. He's so cool, but not allowed to play him, man. He's trash. Resplendent Marshal. I mean, you can't really play this in too many decks, huh? It has to be Angel Tribal or Warrior Tribal. Is Angel Tribal going to be good? No. Is Warrior Tribal going to be good? Probably not. It's definitely more likely to be good than Angel Tribal though. The thing holding the Warrior Tribal back though is that the Lord costs 3 mana. It's just a bad card. I would honestly not be surprised if Warrior Tribal is good and it didn't even play the 3-drop guy. There's better 3 mana warriors, right? The Runeforge Champion's pretty cool. The Marshal would be decent in that deck. It's a lot better than the other one. It doesn't ask to be in any specific deck though. Well yeah, it does ask to be in a fucking Angel or a Warrior deck. What do you mean? Alright guys. You keep saying it doesn't. But if you're honestly suggesting that I should play Resplendent Angel in my fucking, I don't know, in my Soldier Tribal deck, just leave my stream, man. You are fucking dumb. Good lord. What you can't play this random flyer that's an Angel Warrior in your tribal deck that's not Angels or Warriors. It doesn't matter what like the fucking card says you can do it and another thing. It may as well not even say that. Obviously you're not gonna do that, dude. Like I'm trying to make top 10 cards of Kaldheim, and some of you guys, your criteria for being in the top 10 cards list of Kaldheim is number 1 is a card from Kaldheim. We're being a little bit more difficult than that to get in the list. This card, I actually think this card is pretty good. But again, you can only play it in an Angel or a Warrior deck because you need the Resplendent Marshal to get value from the rest of your deck while also giving the rest of your deck value, you know? You can't, or you're going to play what? Turn 1 White Soldier token, and then turn 2 Rally the Ranks for Soldiers, and then turn 3 Marshal named Soldier. Obviously you're not going to fucking do that. But you might do turn 2 Rally the Ranks name Warriors, turn 3 do this, or like, I don't know, turn 1 play a Warrior, turn 2 play a Warrior, get it killed, turn 3 play the Marshal. I don't know. Probably you wouldn't even do that. But you can't do it for another fucking creature type. Jesus. Lol, not reading card. Mate, I saw that it was you that initially said that you can do it with a different creature type. You can't just turn around 5 minutes later and pretend that you were joking. What are you, a fucking pussy? Jesus Christ, just at least back your own opinion. The fuck is wrong with you? I was only joking, streamer. Lol, not reading the card. Lol, it was only a joke, by the way. No, it fucking wasn't. You're just dog shit at this game. Jesus Christ. Starnheim Unleashed. 4 mana. This card might actually be good. No cap. But Resplendent Marshal doesn't make the list. I know that the amount of times I'm going to lose to Starnheim Unleashed is not 0. There's no way it's 0. Is it the best thing you can do as a Gandalf to win the game? I mean, it's kind of up there, isn't it? Just some sharks, some Amelia's Calls, and this. And some castles. Shark is still better, in my opinion. I mean, Shark is better in my opinion too, but that wasn't the question. Can you counter foretell? Yes. Is this better than Dream Trawler? Well, Dream Trawler is completely unplayable, isn't it? Because Dream Trawler just gets blocked at uncounterable instant speed by sharks. Your White Angel warrior creature tokens also get blocked by sharks, but I presume that you've created more than one of them. Therefore, it's not quite as bad. So really the question is, does a Gandalf deck play Emeria's Call, Shark, and this, or does it play Emeria's Call, Shark, and something else?
Hello, Mr. Croak.
Why it's something else? Isn't that enough? What? Shark and Call have more value and are more flexible. I know, man. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, what? I'm asking, do they play Sharks and Emeria's Call and this? Or do they play Sharks and Emeria's Call only? Or do they play Sharks and Emeria's Call and something else? Shark and Emeria's Call are in all three scenarios. So it doesn't matter that Shark is better than this, because they're either both in the same deck or it's only Shark. I would say probably not. But again, the amount of times that I'll lose to this card is certainly going to be more than 0. Toralf. The creature sucks. But the question is this weapon good? This weapon is not terrible. That's for sure. I mean, you can only play it in pretty much full legendary tribal. But again, Esika plus Kennen, that is the start of something. I don't know if we'll ever reach the end of that something and actually have a deck. And I'm even less convinced that this hammer would be in that deck, but maybe. Tyvar. The Tyvar is absolutely filthy, man. This card is insane. But as with pretty much every Kaldheim card, it goes in one deck, so is that deck good? Dunno. Probably not. It does have black removal and green card draw, so it's not a bad two colours to be playing. Let me tell you that. The problem is that you have no 1-drops, your 2-drops are bad, and your 3-drops are bad. But your Tyvar and Vivian Planeswalkers are pretty good. Your black removal spells are pretty good. Your 4-mana Saga is pretty good. But your turn 1, 2, and 3 is trash pretty much every time. That sounds like the recipe for a dog shit deck. But that does not change the fact that my boy Tyvar is a top 10 card. You're not going to play against it, but it's in the top 10 cards. Valky. This card's also gas. Honestly, better in Historic, I think, but still definitely good enough for Standard. Is it top 10 gas? Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, this might be in the top 5 cards. This is everything you could possibly want from a Magic the Gathering card. Cheap. Interaction. Can attack. Good in the late game. Good on curve. This, I tell you guys all the time about my rules of a good Magic card, and this ticks every single box.
Tibbledy's back.
Every single box. If it's not the single best card in the set, it's one of them. Vorin Clicks.
I prefer Valky, God of Pies.
Vorin frickin' Clicks. This guy is really good. But what saddens me is that he's only good in decks that make Magic completely uninteresting. So every time you win with this card or lose against this card, you're not getting the most out of your Magic the Gathering experience. But that doesn't change the fact that it's good. Remember you being lukewarm about it when it first came out? Well, I mean, because you have to play it in like stupid ramp piles, right? And there wasn't enough ramp, but now there's another 1 or 2 ramp cards, so. Best keywords in the game? Not best, but some of them, yeah. This replaces the troll in mono green foot. What? I mean, if you were going to play this card in mono green food, it would be competing with Kogla, right? And those two cards do very different things, so that just depends on the meta. That entirely depends on what your opponent's playing. Worse than Troll or Kogla? What do you mean it's worse than Kogla, man? They're just two completely different cards that do completely different things against completely different opponents. I don't think you would play that. Like, I don't. The best way to use this card is with either a counter deck or a Planeswalker heavy deck, or both, right? So you play it in a ramp pile with Planeswalkers, which probably wants to play Temur Ultimatum, which is just a resident sleeper deck. Or you can play it in a counter deck, but even then, this is a 6 mana creature giving you an effect that you can get for 2 mana. It's still great with Henge. Bruv, every single card in Magic the Gathering that says creature on it is good with Henge. The true cards that are good with Henge is not this. The real good cards with Henge are the ones that can let you cast a Henge, like Lovestruck Beast and Mammoth. Once you've got a Henge in play, fucking everything is good with Henge, man. Eglon, yeah, Egon. Good with fires, by the way. That's the classic, innit? Good with fires. If this card was free, it would be really good. Yup. That is my analysis for literally every single Magic card ever printed. Except Ornithopter. How does the effect work with sagas? I think if you have a Vorinclex in play and then you play a saga, you get the first 2 triggers, right? I'm pretty sure. So I think it does work. But it doesn't really matter, right? That does, and I don't think that's particularly relevant. This will either be, I think the places that you'll see Vorinclex will be, again, Garrula's like too tight of a deck list, I'm pretty sure. So you might see it either in the main deck or in the sideboard, maybe of Mono Green Food as a card to swap out with Kogla, depending on what your opponent is playing. And you might see it in some dumbass Temur Ultimatum deck. That's pretty much it. Another option of a deck, as I said, would be a counter-based deck, but I think you can build that deck without even playing this card. Maybe you want it though, I don't know. Maybe. I'm a little bit... The thing that worries me about this card is that if a Temur Ultimatum deck with this in it is good, then this card will be an absolute fucking powerhouse in that deck. So that would justify its slot in the top 10. I think if you just play 1 copy main or sideboard in mono green food, that's pretty whatever, right? You don't. That's not really justification for being a top 10 card. And I rate the chances of a, like, say, green-white counters deck being good at minimally above 0%. So therefore, on balance, I'm going to not put it in the top 10. But so far, it's probably the #1 contender for card that could be in the top 10 that's not. Arnie. Nope. Ascendant Spirit. Nope. Battle for Bretagard. Quite possibly the card that, of all the reviews that I've seen and all of the chat that I've seen around this set, probably the card that has the greatest disparity in actual power level to how people think, strong people think it is. This card is very, very strong. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's top 10 card or good enough to see play. But it is gas, mate. White Castle creature tokens are not human warriors. They're human. They're either just human or human soldiers. On top of that, Omen of the Sun makes I think Omen of the Sun makes human soldier. White Castle makes just human. So you're talking about up to 4/4 worth of stats from stage 3, and you get 2/2 worth of stats from stage 1 and 2. This card is gas. Mostly because White Castle is absolutely broken, and Omen of the Sun is a playable card. I don't think you can play this card in a deck without Omen of the Sun or a decent chunk of Castle Ardenvales. But that might be a deck. Maybe a Calyx deck, maybe a Yorion deck, maybe both. Maybe a Transmogrify deck. I don't think we've had any new payoffs for a Transmogrify / Luca deck though. So it would have to be a Naya. So you're still looking at Archon, right? Basically, as your only option there. I don't think there's anything. Unless I'm missing something huge. Burgay Storm in Standard? Well, we'll get to Burgay. Burgay's going in the top 10, let me tell you that. Burgay is competing with Valky for best card in Kaldheim. They're having a head-to-head, mate. There might be 1 or 2 other contenders in that battle, but they 2 cards are in the battle. Battle for Bretagard is not a top 10 card, but I would say that most people would rate it as like card number 150 in the set. I'm putting it at about number 20. No cap. Battle for Frost and Fire. No cap. Battle of Frost and Fire. This thing is very strong, but the deck that this is in is shit, so who cares? Because it's It's everyone's favourite, very narrow rare that can only be played in one deck, and if that deck is not tier 1 or tier 2, then you'll never see the card, and the designers and the artist and the trees that have been knocked down to make the fucking cardboard, the environment takes a hit. Wizards are contributing to global warming in a way that really pisses me off. Seriously. Cutting down trees just to print shit that nobody will ever use. Fucking ridiculous. Alright, Bergie. Let's get you in there, mate. God of Storytelling. Not happy about how long this name is. It's now called Bergie, God of Storytelling. The Italian translation of Bergie. Storytelling. I don't know if that is allowed in 2021 to do that, but it's too late now, isn't it? I've done it now, so fuck it. I'm pretty sure it's okay though. Mengucci would appreciate it, and he's Italian, so I don't care. Alright, let's talk about Bergie. I mean, Bergie will just go in mono red. Bergie might just go in Gruul, probably not. At least mono red standard, just play some Bergies, cool. Mono red historic is where I'm most excited to play this card with Steamkin and Frenzy. It's also, you can make some combos with Bergie, I'm sure there's like Song of Creation bullshit. Just any deck where you can draw a lot of cards and cast a lot of cards for cheap and make a lot of mana and have a way to win. But I mean, combo decks are just all boring, aren't they? So who cares? But there's combo elements to the card. You can play it in mono red historic with Steamkin and Frenzy. You can go off with 1,000,000 mana. You can play it in just standard mono red Embercleave. Extra mana is always good. Going even further back than that, I don't know if you'll see it, if it'll see any play in like Modern or something, but maybe. It is that good though. I mean, I guess in Modern you're more likely to be able to do the combo part, right? With a bunch of cheap stuff and cheap card draw. Just draw your whole deck, win somehow, I don't know. The reason why I'm hyped for Historic is the other side as well. So if you think about Steamkin Bergie Frenzy, not only can you use the creature side to go off with your Steamkin and your Frenzy, but you can use the artifact side as well, right? I mean, you're drawing these cards into your hand at the start of each turn that you can't cast because of your Frenzy. Never mind, just trade that 1 for 2 as many times in the turn as you want. At instant speed if you want. Seems good. It is an absolute giga combo with Frenzy. It's unbelievable how good these two cards work together. My question is, can you cast the artifact if this is on the top of your deck and you have a Frenzy in play? I think so, right? Yeah? Okay, well that's cool too. That's a nice little hurdle we've got over there. So, yeah. recap, ways to use Burgi. I mean, the most boring ways to use it are just to put it in standard mono red cleave and just use that mana to cast your spells. And some stupid combo deck, maybe. And the most hype way is with Steamkin and Frenzy and Historic, which will be the first Historic deck that we play. It might even be the literal first deck we play full stop. After the, well, it won't be actually, because the streamer event's normally standard only. But absolute goddamn frickin' gas. Burgi. So, God of Storytelling. Blessing of Frost. Cool card. Good card. Not top 10. Blood in the Snow. Trash. Calamity Bear. Trash. Cosima. I don't know, man. Kind of shit in it. Again, just like Nico Aris, a sad victim of its own color. Probably a top 10 card in any other color, but in blue, it's not my fault, man. I didn't make the rules. Wizards of the Coast have written a law and set it in stone that you can only play Yorion. If you've got an island in your deck, if you've got an island in your deck and Yorion in your deck, then this is not the best thing you can be doing with your 80 cards. So, good cards, but what are you going to do? Another victim of Yorion. And Team Robosh, I mean, why? Why do you even want to play Team Robosh in the first place? And again, this is just not the best thing you can be doing in your Team Robosh deck. Because Kazima will be good in Jank then. Well, Kazima is a good card, man, but you're not going to play this in Yorion. You're not going to play this in really anything, I don't think. If there's just a straight blue-white Gandalf deck that for some reason doesn't play Yorion, then maybe. But again, as I said, Wizards have written a law that say you must play Yorion. I would say that the chances of blue-white not Yorion being better than blue-white Yorion are... I mean, it might literally be 0. Like, how can you justify playing, I don't know, Frantic Inventories and Maze Mind Tomes and Neutralizes and Nico Aris's instead of just playing Omen of the Sea, Skyclave Apparition, Yorion? There's just no way that's better, right? Yorion's way too good. That it's just going to push out, so it has done, and it will continue to push out a bunch of other cards that are also good, but are just not the best thing you can be doing in the King's deck, which is Yorion. Simic ramp. I mean, how do you ramp? How do you Simic can't remove stuff. It can't ramp anymore. Simic has nothing, man. Simic might be the worst color combo in fucking standard. Simic's got nothing, mate. Like nothing. It's got Kinnan, you know? And Kinnan is, as I said earlier, one of the last remaining breakable cards. There is always an opportunity that a Kinnan deck is gas. Always. That'll never change. But, again, this is just not a card that goes in a Kinnan deck. I mean, it might... If there is a Kinnan Isika deck, maybe. Maybe you want a Kasima. That is a way, but we'll take a look at a Kinnan deck after this. But for now, I'm going to go with no. Cosmos Charger. This thing is just way too weak, innit? Yeah, it does have cool art.
Hope you are well, Mr.
This type of effect, I mean, it has to be on like a 2-mana creature, right? It needs to be like 2-mana 2/2 do this with flash. There's no way you can pay 4 for this, man. Clostridium is either broken or unplayable. Yep. Clostridium is really strong, man. It's really, really strong. But 4 mana 3/3 is just utterly unplayable. There are a lot of 4 mana 3/3s that have powerful text, but just none of them get played, man. Even Ranko has like a tough fight finding a spot in any deck, you know? And Ranko's super good. This thing's just way too weak, man. Cosmos Elixir. This is... It's not a top 10 card, but it will be in my decks. Don't at me. This will be in my decks. Not all of them, obviously, but any deck that I play with Speaker of the Heavens in it will have this card at least in the sideboard as one copy. For many reasons. It's good against Gandalfs. It is a card draw engine that does not get removed by Eugene, which is pretty much the best card in standard against your white-based creature deck. This does not beat Eugene by itself, but it at least lessens the cripplingly bad blow that a Eugene will deal to you. This card is beyond dog shit. It's not, man. It is not. This is an anti-Gandalf white-based creature deck sideboard card. The number of copies that you will have in your sideboard will not be 0, and you can quote me on that. I'm not going to put it in the top 10 though, because that is kind of a narrow card. Crippling Fear. So why would you play this instead of Extinction Event? So your opponent needs to play a tribal deck with indestructible creatures that die to this. So some Hallowblade based creature tribal deck. What is Hallowblade? A human warrior? Creatures that aren't of the chosen type get -3/-3. Okay. I actually knew that, so I don't know how I've come back and read the card again and read it wrong, even though I already knew what it did. But it's happened, guys. Let's roll with it. Okay, so it's a lot better than I thought, right? But again, Extinction Event is 1 black. So the only time this is better than Extinction Event is when you have an odd creature and are choosing odd, or an even creature and are choosing even, and -3/-3 removes their stuff. That is narrow. You're not going to play it in Historic because there's better options in Historic. I don't know. Seems like this thing sucks. You can play it as a sideboard card in Elves, but again, I don't think Elves is going to be a deck. I don't think there's any other... You can maybe play it as a sideboard card in Humans, because I think Ors of Humans might be okay, but again, like they already have such good removal spells that I don't think your opponent's going to have 2 creatures in play on turn 4 that die to this. You have Bloodchief's Thirst, you can play Dire Tactics in Humans, you can play Eliminate, Heartless Act. I mean, if your opponent's playing a bunch of creatures, you're just not, in a reasonable game of Magic, you're not going to be removing 2 of your opponent's creatures with this. You can play it in Rogues. Again, same thing, right? There's just too many creatures that are too good that don't die to this. Yeah, I mean, the fact that it doesn't kill Lovestrip Beast just might make it instantly unplayable by itself. You know? Even if you're playing Ors of Humans and you use this, it doesn't even kill the fucking Lovestrip Beast token, mate. It's a scam. I can't think of a single deck that would play this over Extinction Event. Like, not a single one. Even the tribal decks wouldn't play it over Extinction Event. Summoners like trash. Doom, Scar. Okay, next. Dragon Dad Uwu. It's gasoline. Don't know, man. It's just uncastable, isn't it? It's okay in the late game. It's bad on turn 2, so there's just no way this can be good. It is a human, which I don't think is relevant because you would have to play Mardu humans, which seems kind of unlikely, because I think you can just play Orzhov. It is a Berserker, which might be relevant in the future, but it's not relevant yet. We've already looked into that. There's not enough Berserkers to have a Berserker deck, even though the Berserker Saga is super good. There's no way this is good. Necromancer is not good. Dream Devourer probably is good, but I have no idea what deck you play it in. Don't think it's a top 10 card though. Aegon is easy top 10. Not because of the creature sucks, don't at me, but because the artifact is friggin' gas. This thing is unbelievably good. Unbelievably good. This card lets you cut the worst cards from an already tier 2 deck, add this and more cards. It's fucking god tier, this thing. Three mana 6/6 is bad. I mean, if you're gonna if you're gonna call this a 3 mana 6/6, I think you're in the wrong place, man. You're looking for the MTG Goldfish review, mate. The Throne of Death is so good. You just play this in Rakdos, and it lets you cut some number of Mire Tritons and or Timer It Calls the Dead, like your 2 bad cards that are enabling the rest of your deck, right? You now have this to enable your deck. It's a lot better, it's a lot cheaper, and really the only question is how many of those 8 cards can you cut? Because you want to cut as many of them as you can. And it's just a bit of like trial and error to find out what the correct amount is. Elvish War Master. A bad card in a bad deck. What a rare. Decent? Not decent, mate. Not decent at all. It's a 2 mana 2/2 with essentially no text, apart from that it's an elf. There are no lords in standard, reasonable ones. There are no cheap elves in standard, reasonable ones to even proc it a lot of times. Like, I don't know, man. Shit. Dies to the two best removal spells in standard, Blood Chase Thirst and Bone Crusher Giant. Just doesn't do anything, mate. I mean, if there is a good elf deck, this will be in it, but it'll be one of your worst cards. Seeker's Chariot. I actually think this card's pretty cool. It's not a top 10 card, but it's pretty goddamn cool. It is 4 mana, make 2 2/2s, and you get a 4/4 vehicle that can hopefully get you some value in the future.
Really enjoy your content. Thank you.
There is absolutely no way this card sucks. The only question is it the best 4 mana card you can possibly play in your green deck, whatever that green deck is? Now that I think is unlikely. But this thing is good. Faceless Haven. That's a top tenner. Faceless Haven. Not too much to say about that we haven't already said, but easy top 10. Furrier's Retribution. Create a 4/4 white angel warrior creature token with flying and vigilance. Destroy target creature with power less than this creature's power. Angels you control gain double strike. This is just the angel battle of frost and fire, innit? One of the best cards in your dog shit deck. Sad. I hate cards like this, guys. Like, I really hate cards like this. Like, one deck cards, they trigger me. It's such a waste of a rare, man. Glorious Protector. So you hate the whole set? No. Glorious Protector. This card would have been filthy good in like 1975. But in 2021, I mean, it's just shit, innit? It's shit for so many reasons. Not only can you play a deck where you're playing out creatures that you would want to protect with your protector and then hold up 4 mana. Secondly, your opponent, your deck is already resilient to Wrath, otherwise your deck is unplayable, because all creature decks are already hyper resilient to Wrath, because that's like one of the cornerstones of the game that your deck has to beat. It's It just doesn't do anything, man. Shit. Your resilience to wrath cards have to cost 1, 2, or 3, not 4. This is not wrath protection, but a cheaper Yorion. But how is it a cheaper Yorion? But you don't have time. You can't. What do you mean a cheaper Yorion? But you can only hit non-angel creatures. You don't immediately, or end of turn at least, get your apparitions back, I guess, as an example. If you block with this, you do. Oh, okay, that. Yeah, nice. This card is okay. It's actually pretty good, but as I said, you don't need this type of effect anymore. You don't need to play a Glorious Protector to protect your board anymore, because your entire deck protects itself. If this was like red or green, think about this going in something like Gruul. You just don't need it, man. You've got Eddy to replace every single card. Your creatures are 2 cards in 1. You've got Henge, Cleave, all this shit. You wouldn't need it in a deck like Gruul. You don't need it in a deck like White Weenies. You've got the Dog, which is 1,000,000 times better. You've got recur effects if you play it in Orzhov. If you played it in Orzhov, you have 3 mana black spells that do this job better. You do not need a card like this anymore. It has long been outclassed, this type of shit. Its one redeeming feature is that it's a cleric. If there's enough clerics for a mono white clerics, rally the ranks type of deck, maybe. Because you can't play the Dog in that deck, right? Or you don't want to play the Dog in that deck. Maybe. Other than that, fuck off. But I don't think there is enough clerics for mono white. You've got Speaker, Luminarch Aspirant, Rally the Ranks, Righteous Valkyrie, and this. That's almost a deck, but that's not a deck. Graven Lore. Nope. Harold Unites the Elves. Just another good card that goes on one deck, man. It's sad. Will the deck be good? Then you'll probably see this. Will the deck not be good? Then again, rip the trees. Pathways. I mean, Pathways are obviously really good, but I'm not going to add Pathways. Icebreaker, Kraken. Nope. Predator and In Search of Greatness. They go in. Okay, guys, we're in danger of having a lot of cards in this list. We're gonna have to be brutally honest when we're cutting cards down. In Search of Great. It's very hard to type on a keyboard when your mic's in front of it. Alright, this card is another contender, along with Birgay and Valky, for best card in the set. In Search of Greatness is kind of a weird one, man. I mean, if you're making the decision between, if you're making the guess between will this card be good or will this card be bad, you would have to be a goddamn fool to guess bad, right? But there is a chance this card's bad. There is a chance. But like most reasonable humans, I'm gonna guess good. Good, yes, but top 10, good. Well, we're probably going to end up with more than 10 cards in the list, and then we're gonna have to trim some down. It's kind of a boring card, isn't it? I don't really want to talk about it too much. Predator is probably my Predator along with Birgay. Those are my two favourite cards from this set, and I think they are two of the most powerful ones as well. But, I mean, I spent like 3 hours talking about this card the other day, so... It's just absolute filth. I mean, it will be 2, 3, or 4 of in standard Rakdos or Jund if you want to splash for Korvold, and it might even make it into the best historic deck. It's that good. It's hard to make a call that you'll play 0 copies of this in Historic. Because it might even be better in Historic, right? Where the Graveyard Exile is even more relevant. But just straight 10 out of 10 card. Easy. Straight up. Jarn. Again, very... could be bad, but... similar to In Search of Greatness, I mean, unless you are just contrarian to the max, which to be fair I almost am, you've got to lean to the side of probably good, right? But it is the type of card that I think will begin in our top 10 list and is prime suspect for being cut at the end. King Narfi's Betrayal I think is okay, but I don't know, man. What deck are you playing this in, dude? Demir, Esper, Sultai? They all seem kind of shit. They all seem pretty shit to me. Three mana, draw 2? Well, it's a little bit better than 3 mana, draw 2, and I'm sure it would be in a deck where your graveyard, you're going to be able to use your graveyard other than to pull cards out of them with Betrayal. I don't know how you're going to do that, but...
I coming for you.
It's okay though, I think. Definitely not a top 10 card though. Kaldheim. Well, Kaldheim is going to go in our potential Kinnan deck if we got it, but it's going to be one of the worst cards in it. Magda is cool, but there's no Dwarves. Nexus is bad. Reflection's bad. Old Growth Troll. This thing is pretty insane. This card is essentially all upside except for the fact that it doesn't have 5 power, so it's a 3-drop that can't cast your Hinge on turn 4. Which is honestly a massive, massive downside when there are good alternatives to that, like Lovestruck Beast and Mammoth. Mammoth's not really an alternative, but it would go in the same deck. So I think your green deck has 4 Mammoths, 4 Lovestruck Beasts, and then you add some of this. Might be 4, might be 3, might be 2, don't know. But it comes after Lovestruck Beast, not before it. But, I mean, cards gas in it. What are you going to do? Pyre of Heroes to slow, rally the ranks is absolute gas, mate. Rally the ranks. 2 mana. Buff every creature you play for the rest of the game. Seems good, man. Realmwalker is okay. Not quite a top 10 card, but should see play in something, I hope. Bad, bad. Redain. Redain's problem is that she's a 3 mana white card, huh? Three mana white might be the most powerful slot of any mana curve on any colour. So she's got some stiff competition. If she was an angel, yeah, or a cleric or something, or a human, then I'm more into her, but as a god, who fucking cares, man? Kind of shit in it. It's a good card. It's a very good card, actually, but you've got a very limited number of 3 mana cards that you can play in your deck. I mean, I don't know what type of white deck you're playing here, but choosing to play Redain over Apparition or Heliod or Maul or Valkyrie or any number of these cards is just so unlikely, man. And that deck being better than the alternative deck also so unlikely. What's the other side? Oh shit. This artifact's pretty irrelevant, I think. Not that good. This has got to go in the sideboard, and if Snowlands become default, yeah, but I mean that doesn't really matter, man. Like, if people play a bunch of Snowlands for the first week, and then in week 2 everybody puts this in the sideboard of their white creature deck, and the white creature deck's really good, then by week 3 everyone's taking their snow lands out, right? And it's just back to being irrelevant. But yeah, maybe that'll happen, yeah. I don't know. I just don't think it's that good, man. It has a bunch of text and most of it's relevant. Yes, but it's a 2/3 flyer, man. It's so weak. It does give you a couple of rounds before Wrath. It might play better than it looks, but again, man. The numero uno fundamental rule. Number 1 fundamental rule of all creature decks in the year 2021 is none of them care about Wrath. This is just another card in a long list that makes your deck not care about Wrath. It's not the only one. It's not even the best option. It's just an option. So that is no longer a reason to play a card, because your whole deck is already filled with cards like this. Your deck is filled with cards like the Great Henge, or Edgewall Innkeeper, or Selfless Savior, or whatever, right? Midnight Reaper, like Anax. Every creature deck already has this effect. Every single one of them. Or you're playing rogues and your creatures come in at flash speed or something, right? You've got Call of the Death Dweller, or Luris, or Selfless Shade. It's fucking endless, like CROKEYZ. I mean, pretty much every single creature in every single creature-based deck does not care about Wrath. And that's not because Wrath is bad, that's because Wrath is good, right? So, and that's why it's such a... That's pretty much the reason why every single creature that I see, I say is shit. Because it has to be good against Wrath, right? That is a pillar of the game. Your creature to go in your deck should be good against Wrath, and there is enough of them that every single creature in every deck is good against Wrath, so... It's just a cycle, isn't it? A vicious cycle, some people might say. So I'm not going to put Redain in my top 10. But I do think it will be used if there is a good white creature deck that is a non-tribal deck, or maybe even it would justify a slot in the sideboard of a tribal deck for a week to turn people off of Snowlands. That might happen. But other than that, I actually don't think you'll see us very much. It depends what the good slow deck or slow decks are playing to interact with your deck, right? Like if Redain lines up incredibly well against those for your deck, then sure you can play her, but we'll see. Valkyrie. She's an absolute house. Another like can only be played in one deck card, but it is what it is. It be what it be. Is mono white or Orzhov Clerics good? I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. We'll see. Is Righteous Valkyrie pretty much the best card in that deck? Yes. So if it's a good deck, and that's the best card, then it's a top 10 card, isn't it? Rise of the Dreadmorn. I'm not going to put this in my top 10, but the chances of this card seeing play is about 104%. Runeford Champion. When Runeford Champion enters the battlefield, yep. Are runes good? Nope. Are runes good if they cost 1? Maybe. Like, Runeford Champion has a similar problem to Redain, in that it's a 3 mana card and white, which is incredibly strong already. So therefore, this is a good card that will not make the cut unless there is a warrior tribal deck where you don't mind playing the runes. But that's also pretty hard because your warrior tribal deck is going to play Winota, right? It's going to play Winota, it's going to play Rally the Ranks, it's going to play Embercleave, it's going to play lands, and then you're not left with too many slots in your deck, so there might not be enough slots to play the rune cards. Because you need Winota, lands, Embercleave, maybe Showdown of the Scalds, definitely Rally the Ranks, and then you need a lot of non-humans and a lot of humans to go with your Winota warriors. If that leaves enough slots for some runes, you'll play the Runeford Champion. If that doesn't leave enough slots for the runes, you'll just play the dumbass Lord, who kind of sucks. So we'll see. Cool card though. Can't this be a deck on its own? No. The Wolf. Don't know about the Wolf, man. How do you play a Golgari based deck, like maybe Sultai or something, where most of your permanents cost 3 or more? Because you don't really want to exile your own shit with your Sarolf. It just sounds hard, doesn't it? That just sounds hard. This card is trash. This card is really good, I think, man. But it's very hard to imagine it in anything other than a bad deck. There are a lot of bad cards in good decks, and on the flip side, there's a lot of good cards in bad decks, man. This might be a good card in a bad deck. I would be surprised if it's a good card in a good deck. It's good against Gruul. No, it's awful against Gruul, man. How is it good against Gruul? Your opponent plays Lovestruck Beast, you play this, and then they either cleave the Lovestruck Beast or henge you or play a Questing Beast, and then you untap and what? You take 8, maybe 12, 8, or sorry, you take 9 or 12 damage, and then, or they play a henge, and then you untap and what, remove their Lovestruck Beast with a Heartless Act, and then you've got 1 counter on it. This thing's absolutely unplayable against Gruul. Utterly unplayable. It's not so good against rogues because it can't block the flyer, it can't block the death toucher. So, I'll go back to my original statement. Probably a good card in a bad deck. Could see playing Historic, this one. But standard, I don't know, man. Golgari sounds shit to me. Sultai sounds shit. Abzan. Abzan. If there's an Abzan deck, it'll probably be a counters deck, which you would assume this would be good in, but it wouldn't be because you're just going to be exiling all your own shit. Or a Yorion, maybe Calyx pile, in which case you would never play this card. Search for Glory, that thing sucks. Showdown of the Mother Fricking Scalds. Alright, I've got way too many cards, guys. There's no way all of these cards are good, so we're going to have to cut some. And we're still not even through the fucking rares yet. This card's gas, we've spoke about it a lot. Sigrid. Another warrior, another human. Good card that might fit somewhere and might not. It's kind of awkward with Winota, so pretty yikes for your warrior deck. Might go in your human deck. Is probably not the best option for your White Weenies deck if you're going to play one of those, especially not like a life gain one, which is probably the best. If you're going to play like a bunch of 1-drops, a bunch of 2-drops, and then some like apparitions and some copies of this. If you're playing that type of deck, again, I don't know if Sigurd will be your best option for 3s. I mean, you have to play that, you have to pass up Heliod, Maul, etc, etc. But maybe. Another one that suffers from the white 3-drops is the best mana spot in the entire game problem. Skemfar Avenger. Good card with almost certainly no deck, which is sad because it's gas. Elementalist, Flinger, Tergrid. Card has no deck, that card has no deck. That card has no deck. World Tree's trash, Trickery's trash. Toske, Ephemeral. These things all suck. Arnie Slays the Troll. Might see play in Historic Grow. We'll see. Avalanche Collar. This thing's gas. Bum, bum, bum. Worst Stormy's Ambush. Is it? Don't know about Worst Stormy's Ambush, man. The Armory is pretty good. You might play it as a one-of if Boros Warriors is a deck, and if you want to play the Runeforge Champion over the Kargan Warcaller or whatever it's called, then you might play the Armory to fetch your Cleave and a Rune. Binding the Old Gods. This card is absolutely filthy. Binding the Old Gods. Bad, bad, bad. Bad, 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 bad. Frost Augurs are really... honestly, Frost Augur is a completely insane card, but there's not enough snow cards to play though. Glimpse is another insane card, but only in Giants, which will be bad. Shut up! Harold's trash. Emerston's pretty okay. These all suck. Bruv. Guys, I'm about to go outside and start some hell. Yeah, that's what I thought, fucker. So he heard me, guys. He bitch, little bitch backed out, didn't he? Bitch! Runed Crown enters the battlefield. Search your library, hand, or graveyard for a rune card and put it onto the battlefield attached to Rune Crown. So what does that do? Makes it 3 mana, +2/+2, and like lifelink or haste or trample or something. Why doesn't it just like auto-equip, man? It does draw a card at least. What? The runes draw? Well, then the champion's way better then, man. Where were we? But is this thing just secretly really good? What? So the turn you play it, you get your weapon in play and you draw 1. You thin your deck 1, draw 1. And it's 2 to equip. So it's going to be in a white deck or a red deck or both, right? For your haste creature or your lifelink. How many of this do you play? It's kind of weird, right? Like if you're, say you were playing like a Boros warrior deck and there was enough space in your deck for all of these cards. Like the champion, the runed crown, and your runes. Like 0? I think this thing's good, man. It's not +2/+2. Well, it is, because it's +1/+1, and then the runes get +1/+1 as well, right? Like the red rune gives you +1/+1 in haste. The white one gives you +1/+1 in lifelink, no? Red's +1/+0. Alright, they're right there on the screen, huh? I'm blind. So the white is draw and lifelink. Red is +1/+0 and haste and draw. The other three don't matter. I don't know, guys. This thing's pretty good. I mean, I'm very upset if I draw my runes from my deck and before my runed crown. So that's a bit annoying. Or before my champion. I don't know how to fit all of this in the deck though. So you have Winota, Ruined Crown, Runes, Cleave, and then some warriors, huh? Nahiri as well, yeah, but I mean that's even more space, right? I don't think Winota is the payoff for runes. Well, you're not playing the runes to have them paid off, man. They are in themselves the payoff. The reason you're playing Winota is because you're playing warriors, right? And the thing about warriors, and the thing that makes Winota good with them, where's my dude? Is that just putting, you don't have to make any like concessions in your deck to play Winota, right? If you just fill your Boros deck with the best warrior cards, you end up with a great split of humans and non-humans. So there's no concessions to be made to add Winota. That's kind of what has to happen for your Winota deck to be good, right? You need, for your Winota deck to be good, whatever choice of creatures you're making to play, those have to be like the best creatures you can play in the deck. Like, it's no good cutting, like when you start having to cut a human card from your, like a good human, you have to cut that so that you can play a bad non-human. That's when the deck starts to get bad. But I'm pretty sure you can fill a whole Winota deck with decent warriors without making any of those concessions, right? So the issue with that deck is not whether or not Winota is good. The issue is whether there's enough space to play the runes, right? But it's not as if you have to play fucking 4 of every rune and 4 runed crowns. You don't even have to play a lot. But one of the main problems with Winota is that playing a Winota deck and hitting enough non-humans and enough humans, it really does not leave you with a lot of slots left. I don't think there will be enough, but maybe. Because you're going to have to play Rally the Ranks, you're going to have to play whatever else we said earlier. Cleave, I don't know. You want to play some Showdown of the Scalds. Nahiri, maybe, yeah. Crown is trash, only gets 1 rune. I mean, how many runes do you want it to pull? It auto-equips them and draws you. You want it to be able to pull like fucking 20 runes, equip them all on this runed crown, and draw 20 cards. That seems fair. This runed crown is gas, guys. This thing's went under the radar big time. These all kind of suck. Usher of the Fallen is a solid choice for a top 10 card. No cap. Alright, we're at commons now. I'm sure there's some good commons, but I can't be bothered. You know what? I will add... What is it? Augur of the Fallen? Alright guys. How many we got? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 17. Usher of the Fallen? Alright, 7 cuts. Usher. Usher of the Fallen, Binding the Old Gods, Avalanche Caller, Showdown, Valkyrie Rally, Troll. Alright, how are we cutting here, man? Tyvar, see you later. Rip. I think Jorn. I kind of want to cut Greatness, yeah. In Search of Greatness. But it's a risky cut, guys. In Search of Greatness is the type of card that could end up being the most impactful of the whole set. I do think it's more likely that's not true though, but we'll see. I think it will be impactful in some way. But it's a dark horse for best card in the set, innit? We'll see what happens though. Search of Greatness, out. Horny of Winter, out. Troll. I think it's gotta go, man.
Smile.
Avalanche Caller is really good, but might have to cut it here. Binding, that Binding's sick, man. Binding is definitely in the top 10. No Ascendant Spirit? Nope. Bad, innit? Bad, bad, bad. Kaya's 5 mana removal. I think you guys might be surprised by Kaya, man. Her +1 is really good. In most likely something like humans, right? Maybe a Mardu sack deck, I don't know. It's hard to justify Mardu over Jund, or even just Rakdos, but like but I think Kai is really good. What we got here? 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 3 cuts, man, huh? God damn. I mean, these cards are all super good. So whatever we cut will be good. But we gotta cut something. We're not pussying around here. We're getting to a top 10. Binding is just a slow death sprout. Well, I mean, apart from that, it can remove any permanent, huh? Like, if you pretend that artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers don't exist, then yeah, it's exactly the same. Are you sure about Avalanche Caller? I mean, I'm definitely sure it's in the best 13 cards. I don't know if it's in the best 10. But yes. Is Rally really that strong? Yes. Is Valkyrie top 10? Maybe. So Kaya, Valky, Berkey, Doomscar, Aegon, Faceless Haven, Predator, Rally the Ranks, Showdown, Binding, Usher. Right, so we have to cut Avalanche Caller and the Valkyrie, I think. And then we gotta cut one. One of these 11 beasts. That's not easy, man. Who is the odd one out in the list? Binding? I think Binding's good, man. Binding is honest, in my opinion, it's honestly good enough to change the Yorion deck from Orzhov to Abzan by itself. I think it's that good. I think it will change that. The Yorion pile of choice will probably be Abzan, I imagine. Which one's Binding? I was looking for it there, man, but I can't find it. I'll show you guys. Name. B. B-I. B-I-N. So Binding of the Old Gods is 4 mana saga, destroy target non-land permanent an opponent controls, search your land for a forest, including Abzan Triome, and put it into the battlefield tapped. And then Yori in that bitch, huh? Easy. Definitely top 10 card. Yorion is really boring, and I would happily see Yorion get banned for boredom offences today. But It is what it is. It exists, therefore Binding is in the top 10. Aaron, why are you such a Scalds hater, man? Alright, chat. There's 11 cards on this list. One has to be cut. Place your votes. What is the 11th card in this top 11 list? Bear in mind, I'm gonna... whatever your opinions are, I'm gonna ignore them completely. But I'm just interested anyway. Alright, so there's people saying Burgie, which is probably the saddest thing I've ever seen. Because now I feel like I've failed as a streamer. I've completely failed. Doomscar? I mean, I would say Doomscar is probably in the 6 to 10 position. I don't think it's 11th though. In fact, I'm certain it's not 11th. Doomscar is 1? Nah. Usher is Resident Sleeper. How is it Resident Sleeper, man? It's a 1-drop, dude. It's the best 1-drop in the set. What do you mean Resident Sleeper? What a Gandalf. Top 10 with 11 cards will trigger. I mean, it's also triggering me. We're not moving on until we cut a card from this list. And let me tell you, I'm nowhere near cutting one yet. Let me give you my contenders for 11th place. Kaya. And Rally the Ranks. Those are my two contenders at the moment. Both are great, but I think one of them is number 10 and one of them is number 11. Rally is better in the deck that plays both. True. All right, it's a sad moment for me, but I think I'm trimming Kaya here. Kaya the Inexorable has bubbled the top 10 in a quite horrendous 11th place. And this would be my 10, guys. It's a solid 10. It is a solid 10. Valky, Burgie, Doomscar, Aegon, Faceless Haven, Predator, Rally, Showdown, Binding, Usher. Now rank the list. I mean, that is a bit harder, but I can try. Alright, 1. In fact, let's start from 10. 10. Rally the ranks. 9. Aegon. God of Death. 8.
Thank you, Mr. Streamer.
I think 8 and 7 are Faceless Haven and Usher. And in some order. Let's go 8 Usher. 6. I don't know, man. Usher could be higher, guys. My only sag about Usher is, where is he? U becomes after S, right? Man, if it was a human, dude. If it was a human, it would be number 1. But Spirit Warrior, ugh. What a kick in the balls, mate. If it was a human, number 1. Alright, top 6, guys. What do we have left? So we've used Usher. Top 6. Binding, Showdown, Predator, Doomscar, Berkey, Valky.
Scammed again this month, goddamn.
Goddamn. Those are 6 insanely good cards. Doomscar? I don't know, man. I think Doomscar is higher than 6. I mean, number 6 has to be. It has to be Binding or Predator. Both of those cards are so good, but it has to be those two next. I'll go Binding 6. Binding, the Old Gods, Emerstern Predator 5. 4.
Welcome back, CROKEYZ.
Valky, Berge, Doomskar Showdown. Valky isn't even top 10? Yes, it is. Oh, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I think the next two are Doomskar and Showdown. In some order. Both are insanely good though. I'm gonna go for Showdown. Showdown of the Scouts. 3 Doomskar. 2 Valky. 1 Bargay. One Bereg, God of Storytelling.